colors for?
Man.
It's on the way.
Yes, it is.
What are we tackling in this thing?
Dude, we going for the jugular. We going straight for the neck of white supremacy, dude.
Uh-huh.
We getting it in. We are getting it all the way, and we're talking about the religion of white supremacy. So, brother, we're talking about how religion has been used against black folks. We're going to talk about how the religions that we practice all started from Africa and how it was flipped by the white supremacists into something else and then refashioned to us. So we're breaking this all the way down.
How much flack have you caught out here with your word, trying to spread the word out here? Because I know when that word white supremacist rolls off your tongue, I know blacks are getting mad and scared, whites are getting mad and scared, Chinese, everybody getting mad and scared.
Yeah. Dude, like when I do press over here, man, they cut me off. they can tell when I'm about to go somewhere with it. They cut me off so fast. They like, oh, we got to go to a commercial with him. But I do international press, and they're more lenient about what I say. I've done like, man, I was over in London. I did a big lecture in London. I did a lot of press over there. So they let me talk a little bit more about white supremacy, because over there, they try to make racism an American thing. Oh, that's just what you guys do over there. But over there in London and England, too, they got a lot of racism and white supremacy over there that brothers and sisters are dealing with. But when I talk about racism and white supremacy, black people sometimes do get upset because they're like, oh, you're going to scare white folks now. Don't shh. It's that slave thing. Shh. Don't say that out loud now. You know, because we are afraid to deal with the problem that's really plaguing us. People want to get off into what about black on black crime and all of these non sequiturs, but we got to deal with systematic racism. Back in the 60s, there was something called the Kerner Report. We talked about that in Hidden Colors 3, the Kerner Report, that was administered by Lyndon B. Johnson. And they even said, with all the riots that's going on in the United States, what's the problem? And the problem is white racism. That's the source of all of this anger and frustration, but they chose not to deal with that. They chose what's called a benign neglect policy, where they would just ignore black problems and black needs, and they've been doing that to this very day. That's why black issues are never talked about by politicians. They always talk about minorities. They might talk about police brutality, but they never say black people are dealing with a problem of racism in this country. They will never address us directly, and we got to stop them from doing that.
What are your thoughts about the president?
Oh, man.
Because I know that's got to be a real touchy and difficult subject.
Man, it basically was a symbolic thing, you know, with the president being elected. It was a symbolic thing, and that was good symbolically, but it didn't trickle down to any progress for the rest of the black society. So the white supremacists know this. They always say, we ain't racist. How are we a racist nation? We got a black president. Putting one black person in a token position means nothing, and the white supremacists know this. They're quick. White supremacy has refined itself by putting token black people in front so they can hide behind them. That's why when you look at television and news shows, there's always some random black person talking about, well, we black folks need to stop all this crime. These are just puppets of the white supremacists. I just did a debate with a dude named Jesse Lee Peterson.
I saw that. I was on YouTube watching that.
Yeah, man. And I just exposed, I got him to finally say he don't deal with white supremacy. Because I kept bringing up white supremacy. He tried to deflect to everything under the sun. I said, brother, all that is caused by white supremacy. How come you don't acknowledge white supremacy? Oh, no, I don't deal with white supremacy. That's all I need to know. We got to understand and not fall for these puppets that's put in our way. I keep my eyes on the people who's pulling the puppet strings, which are the white supremacists.
Now, in history, you know, there was a thing called Cointelpro.
Yes, indeed.
How do you feel being in a position that you are, knowing how they deal with people that try to...
Yeah, people ask me that all the time, man. Don't you feel like your life is in danger? Yeah. But even if I don't do anything, my life is in danger. We getting killed anyway. Brother, that's the thing. Black folks think that if we just lay down and stay out of sight, we going to be safe. Mike Brown was being safe, so to speak. Trayvon Martin was walking home, minding his business. You know, you got little Tamir Rice, little boy who was up in Ohio playing with a toy. He got shot. Walter Scott was running for his life. He got shot. The brother out in Los Angeles, homeless brother, he got shot. So no matter what we do, even if we are homeless, they're targeting us. Women, sister in Los Angeles got beat up by a cop on the freeway. Sister in New York, cops busting her house. whatever we do now, we're getting targeted. There's no respectability politics that we can just engage in or duck and dodge and hide. All of us are vulnerable, no matter if we're poor, no matter if we're rich, no matter if we are the America's dad like Bill Cosby. He's getting targeted. You see what they're doing to him? He was America's dad, non-threatening, the symbol of the non-threatening black man. They're dragging this dude through the mud right now, killing his legacy. Look what they did to Michael Jackson. Killing that. Michael Jackson basically said, I'm going to stay in the house. Nope, you in there molesting folks. We dragging you through the mud. White supremacy don't take no prisoners, bruh. So I might as well stand up and say, okay, look, if you're going to get us, I'm going to stand up before you get me and speak out against what's going on.
Who are some of the people that you admire that stand up with you with the cause?
Man, brothers like Umar Johnson. Brilliant brother. Shahrazad Ali, who's in the Hidden Colors film. Brilliant sister. Eric Shepard, the brother out here in Georgia. The brother's down there in Valdosta. He was speaking up against racism. They're targeting that young man. He's on the run right now. Young brothers like that. We need little warriors like that because we got to protect brothers and sisters like that. People who want to stand up against what's going on because they know the deal. These are our children. We got to protect them.
Do you think that our people will protect our people in those kinds of situations? Because a lot of times you stand up and you left out there to dry.
Yeah. We got to get off that fear thing. We got to get off that fear thing, and that's a real big thing. And that's why, man, you can use your economy to protect yourself. Just like the mafia, man. The mafia, they were I won't say are a criminal organization. And the reason why they were able to last so long and not have the FBI started targeting them later, but even before before J. Edgar Hoover died, because J. Edgar Hoover never acknowledged the existence of the mafia, because they bought him off. They had him paid.
You can acknowledge the existence of a black messiah, but can't acknowledge
J. Edgar Hoover targeted every black organization, not some, everyone. He even targeted the NAACP. There were wiretaps on NAACP. There were wiretaps on all the black celebrities that Hoover had. Any black person of note, Hoover targeted them, but would not acknowledge the existence of the mafia. Never even touched them because they had them in their back pocket. They understood finances. They knew how to buy off cops, buy off judges, and circulate their money among themselves. They had a code. They had a real strict code of conduct. They had levels of their code, like a made man, the capo, the don. In order to be a made man, you had to trace your lineage back to Italy. You got to know the person's mama. So they had a strict code of conduct, and that's the thing that we're missing. We don't have a code of conduct. We just kind of do stuff. We're the do-anything people. And we got to get off that. We got to start getting a code of conduct. And a code of conduct is not difficult to do. We get patterns of behavior all the time. If there's a dance in Atlanta tomorrow, that dance will be in L.A. next week. You dig? If there's a way somebody's wearing their clothes here, that style will be in New York next week. So we get patterns that we share with each other, but we won't get a code of conduct that's going to be constructive in the long run.
The global impact of Hidden Colors. I mean, how do you feel like your movie's being received across the globe, and how do you feel like it's impacting the people?
Man, I do lectures all over the world. I do a lecture in Amsterdam, London, all over, and the lectures sell out over there. People out there checking the movie out. People in Asia, they got the movie. All over Africa, they're watching the movie. So this movie, Hidden Colors, a lot of folks don't know, it's the best-selling African history documentary ever.
Get out of here.
Yeah. A lot of folks don't know that because they don't say that in the mainstream media. When Hidden Colors came out, especially the last one, it was the #1 documentary, not black documentary. It outsold everybody's documentary. Even the stuff from the History Channel. It outsold everybody's stuff for like 3 months. The only reason it got off the #1 slot is because Robin Williams died, and there was a documentary about him that took the #1 spot. That's the only reason why. But that movie, fortunately, man, people gravitated to it, and they're receiving it and they're appreciating it, and they're teaching it in schools around the world too, because that was my main goal, for them to use it in the curriculum.
Dealing with hate. How do you deal, because I know you're getting some hate mail, some hate tweets, some hate likes and everything else on social media, YouTube and everything. How do you deal with that personally, emotionally, and just how does that affect you?
Most of the haters, these are people, that's part of the whole Cointelpro thing. Because Cointelpro, they always had the poison pen letters. Back in the 1960s, they would have different organizations
telling Dr. King to kill us.
Yeah. telling King to kill. And this is all coming out now.
Yeah.
When you look at the documents now, who wasn't an agent? Every group had an agent back then. Yeah. The FBI would write little stuff about the Black Panthers and write comic books and stuff like that and put it out and make it seem like other black organizations were doing that. So the white supremacists, they're behind all that stuff. So I'm not shocked. I would be shocked if they weren't doing it. So we keep on progressing and pushing, and the more progress we make, the haters become less effective.
How is it when you talk to other black people about what you got going on, and when you reach out and when you're telling them what's happening? What kind of resistance are you facing, or how many people are embracing you with your movement?
Man, a lot of people are embracing it. My thing is, I want us to embrace stuff faster, because what happens is that we get all this stuff happening at once. All these riots and all of these incidents where black people are being killed, and we're told to just riot and protest and march, and that's cool for the attention, but we have to follow up with something. And that's where we get our money game together and actually build in these communities. So I want everybody to follow up on all of the stuff that's going on and empower ourselves economically.
How do we get our people to shop with our people? Because now we are quick to get some drugs from each other, some entertainment from each other, but we're not going to go buy hair from us. We're not going to go to your shoe store. We're not going to go to your clothing store or your grocery store. How do we get people to say, you know what, it's okay to go and shop with my brother?
We got to stop that slave mentality of looking for approval from white mommy and white daddy. The only reason we don't shop with each other is because white mommy and white daddy didn't say it was okay. We take our cues from those in the dominant society, unfortunately. If somebody in the dominant society says this black person is okay, we'll gravitate towards that person. That's what happened with Obama. No, black folks weren't checking for Obama at first. Let's keep it $1.50.
I saw a lot of us going with $1.50. I saw a lot of us going with Hillary back then.
Yes, indeed.
And they didn't want to jump on the ship until they knew he was about to win. But before then, they were like, you didn't come up in the trenches with us. We ain't messing with you. We don't even know you. We riding with Hillary because those Clintons was good to us.
Yeah, exactly. Which they weren't, but you did. So many brothers got locked up under Clinton. You understand?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, indeed. But when the white supremacists and white people started co-signing Obama, then we jumped on that bandwagon. And we got to stop taking our cues from those in the dominant society. We got to start making our own decisions and not being afraid to do something that they don't approve. For example, man, black empowerment has never been approved by the white society. It never has been. As a matter of fact, black empowerment has always been detoured by those in the dominant society. That's why there's so much hate with Mayweather. You did? When he won all that money, he's all these negative articles about him. That ain't about no damn domestic violence, man. There's white celebrities like Christian Bale, Nicolas Cage, Charlie Sheen. I can go down the list.
Crazy.
Man.
Yeah. He is
Jim
crazy.
Lampley. I can go down the list of white people who done beat up their wives, done all types of ratchetness. They don't say nothing about. So now all of a sudden they're up in arms over Floyd Mayweather on a charge that he already did time for. It's about him being economically empowered. Him and a brother named Al Heyman made all of that money independent of those in the dominant white society. They didn't get approval, and they're calling the shots. So now they're trying to thwart that. Even when Oprah started her own network, they were sabotaging Oprah a lot when she started that network. Because she was cool every day for an hour at 3 o'clock. She was fine, but when she got her own network, they were like, uh-oh, wait a minute now. So they started sabotaging her for a little bit. So we got to stop being afraid of being criticized by those in the dominant society and just do what we need to do to empower ourselves.
Our celebrities, a lot of people give our celebrities a lot of flack for not doing, what they feel like they should do. People are dying every day on the news, and that your celebrities are seeing this. Now, I got to applaud Carmelo because he went down there to Baltimore.
Yeah.
But you would think that people would say, hey, y'all, stop killing our kids. Why do you think that's not happening?
Because they got stuff in the contracts now. There's a book called $40 Million Slave, real good book, talking about how black athletes back in the 60s, you had the Jim Browns. Jim Brown is in Hidden Colors 4, by the way.
Oh, man. That's how you feel?
Man. We went for the jugular, bro.
Oh, my God.
Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali, and you had all those athletes back in the 60s who stood up. They were not afraid to stand up. So those in the dominant society said, wait, you remember in the Olympics, the brothers put that black fist up? they were down for the cause. The people in the dominant society said, wait a minute, we're going to have to give them just a tad bit more money to shut them up a little bit, because these people are too influential. They still, to this day, show that brother on that track field with his hand up like that. That's iconic, and that gave so many people inspiration. And they know that our athletes are very inspirational, and we take cues from them. We will look at them and wear their shoe and the whole 9 yards. So they will overpay a lot of these athletes to be pacified when it comes to black issues. And they have it in their contract. Don't speak out. Don't get crazy. That's why Marshawn Lynch got so much flack, because my man was standing up. Shout out to all my real Africans out there. They went in on that brother. So we got to protect our brothers and sisters who do speak out, because we talk about what our celebrities should do, but a lot of times when they start attacking them, we leave them out there to dry. So we're going to have our celebrities do stuff for us. We need to circle our wagons around them.
Another point. A lot of people say it's classism. You know, it's a war against the impoverished people. Black and white. It don't matter what color you is. If you ain't got enough money, we still trying to milk you dry.
Man, the worst type of white supremacist is a broke one. Brother, the worst type of racist is a broke one, because white supremacy is all they have to live for. I want black folks to understand that. That makes them wake up in the morning knowing that, oh, I ain't got no money, but I'm better than them. See, black folks, we got a glass ceiling. The white supremacists, they got a glass floor. They won't let them go to a certain level. Even if they're broke, they can still get privileges that are not allowed for black society. And that's good enough for a lot of people. Just like a lot of during the Civil War, man, you had poor white people fighting to keep slavery. That was hurting them economically, because that was taking money out of their pockets. That was destroying the labor, the fight, because money wasn't being circulated. To have a person enslaved, that was just money in your pocket, the slave owner's pocket. So that was killing the economy. The Civil War had nothing to do with freeing no slave. They could care less about a slave. They didn't care about that. They just cared about the economy and how they could save the economy.
Do you think that we can be inclusive in bringing poverty-stricken whites and blacks together on a movement that just for empowerment, just for people that don't have nothing in general?
Well, the thing is, we got to start empowering ourselves first. Because we've always tried that. We've always said, okay, let's try to be all-inclusive, and that's our problem. We try to be inclusive, and what happens, people rise up on our backs and then leave us hanging. We tried to do that with the Hispanic community. We always say, well, blacks and Hispanics, blacks and Hispanics. Hispanic community, they don't say nothing about us when they have their meetings, when some money is coming. They don't mention us at all. The Native American, the so-called Native American tribes, when they get billions of dollars in tax money and all that, our name don't come up at all. In the gay, lesbian community, when they start getting stuff, our name don't come up. The white feminist movement, they don't do nothing for black women. So we got to stop being Captain Save 'em for every other group and start saving ourselves.
I feel you on that. Now, before we get up out of here, what are some of the things that we need to do to save ourselves? And then we're going to hit that Hidden Colors for one more time.
Yes, indeed. Now, number one, man, we got to get a code of conduct with each other. Understand your history. We need to start teaching ourselves, teaching our children. When the Japanese were thrown in internment camps and they were disenfranchised by the dominant society, they started to teach themselves and educate their children and learn industry and learn how to do industry for themselves. They would get certain machinery and break it down, learn how it worked, and then do it themselves, and they became a billion-trillion-dollar powerhouse. We got to start doing the same. We got to start circulating money with each other. We got to start owning something. If you own nothing, you're always going to be vulnerable. We got to stop being model employees, because that day is over. We're not getting hired like we used to in the 1970s when they had factories all over the place. Those days are over. They know that we're economically weak, and they're using our impoverished status to throw us in the prison system. So we got to understand that there's a war going on, and we have to protect ourselves against that war, and the best way to do that is through economics.
Okay. Hidden Colors 4, what can we expect from it? And I mean, what are the topics that you're hitting on there, man?
Man, Hidden Colors 4, we're talking about religion. We're talking about different ways that we've been economically disenfranchised. We're talking about Africa a lot, because a lot of us don't really understand what's happening in Africa.
We know nothing
about what's happening over there. And Africa is almost 100% colonized still. It's independent on paper, but we really have to understand the situation and stop being afraid of Africa, stop being ashamed of Africa, because we don't know the whole story. We're going to talk about that in Hidden Colors 4. We don't know about so many great things that were done over here by black folks, because that's hidden. I just found out, I knew there was a black-owned airline right here in Atlanta. There was Air Atlanta. A lot of black folks didn't know about it. Black-owned airline. I was talking to Dennis Kimbrough. There was another one, black-owned airline, called Piedmont Airline. I just found out about this today. So our history is all over the place, and we don't know this stuff. So that's what we're bringing in Hidden Colors. That's why the information is hidden. That's why we call it Hidden Colors, because we're taking it out of hiding and putting it out there to the forefront.
Now I'm going to have to ask you this from a business standpoint and just a hustling standpoint.
Yes, sir.
How could you take a grassroots movement and turn it into the monster that it is right now?
Man, most movements, man, that will be self-sustaining starts from the grassroots. When you see something that comes from the top, it's suspicious. When they had that Coney, you remember that Coney, fine Coney jive? They had one day out the blue, Puff Daddy, Rihanna, Drake, everybody tweeting about some Coney. So that was something that came from the top, and that's suspicious. And we found out that it was a whole farce later on down the line. Movements start from the grassroots, man. When you have a grassroots movement, it gains momentum. That's going to stick around. That's going to make history. Dr. King, that movement was a grassroots movement. The Montgomery marches and the boycott, that was a grassroots movement. And that's what we have to go back to. We got to stop taking our cues from corporate America, because, again, we look at stuff on TV and follow everything that they say on television. We got to understand, if you see something on television first, 9 times out of 10 it's a lie. You have to start communicating with each other on a street level, one-on-one, like we did back in the day, to get information to each other so that we can build from there.
Another question, the music. I just had T-Mo Goody in here the other day, and I mean, that Soul Food album talked a lot. It was basically a Hidden Colors soundtrack back in '96.
Yes, indeed. Those brothers were spitting.
What do you think about the music now, and how can we get our youth to make that same kind of music again? But I know when I talked to Gibb about it, he was like, B, we got banned. We were making this music. They were banning us from the radio after a while, because once they realized what we were really saying, they had to put a stop to it. Why don't you think that the youth are making that kind of music now? And how can we get them to be more conscious?
Brother, when NWA, and I'm from LA, I was around them in NWA at the time, when their first album came out, straight out of Compton, that was a conscious record when you really listen to it. F the Police, all that. That was a really conscious record. They were talking about some deep stuff when that came out. That's why they were getting letters from the FBI and all of this stuff. This is why they got censored with the stickers. And even Luther Campbell, they were trying to use the facade of obscenity. They didn't want to see a black man make all that money, because Luther Campbell owned his record label at the time, and he owned his masters. That's what they were really upset with, and they were making all of that money. So they had to close it down and put him in jail with the facade of being obscene. So anytime we do something independent of those in the dominant society, that's going to be a threat. So KRS-One, he's been in my movies.
That's right.
That brother was breaking down conscious game.
He's the truth.
He started off with gangster rap. Criminal Minded was a gangster rap album. Then he flipped once he got the audience. You understand? And was very influential. So they said, okay, we ain't putting that type of stuff out no more. And they tried to shut that down. So on a grassroots level with Kendrick Lamar, he's being conscious in his stuff.
Now, what do you think about with Kendrick? Because Kendrick straight up flipped it on them. After he got everybody's ear, he said, okay, y'all, here's the vegetables.
Boom. Yes, he did.
I ain't giving y'all no more candy.
Yeah.
It's time for dinner.
Yes, indeed. And my man did it the right way.
Oh,
he got that audience and totally flipped, and that brother got deep on it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's how we got to learn how to play the game with them, man. And we got to be very strategic with how we do this stuff. Because, again, when you come in the door like that, they ain't going to let you come in the door like that. They go out of their way to not let you come in the door like that. Once you get in there, once you get a foothold, once you get some panache in the game, then you flip it, and then you do something for the community.
How can folks reach you and get down with your movement, or just reach out to you?
Man, they can reach out to me on Twitter at Tariq Nasheed. Go to hiddencolorsfilm.com and get all 3 films. Also, I got a nonprofit organization. We do stuff for everybody in the black community. Melanoidnation.org. A lot of times when black folks are getting harmed and the children are getting killed, we pay for people's funerals, we bail people out of jail, we do a lot of stuff. We need that. And my foundation is also a think tank to come up with solutions to empower us economically. We even give out microloans to black businesses too. So melanoidnation.org. Also, follow me on Instagram at Tariq Elite. Some of the pictures are a little ratchet on there. Don't. Y'all see some ratchetness, and you're like, hey, he was talking real deep, and I just saw some ratchet. Don't be shocked, because I ain't this deep all the time. I'm human. You dig? I'm not Malcolm Flex. I'm King Flex.
Yes, sir. And what's next for you, man?
Man, we're going to knock this Hidden Colors 4 out, man. I'm going on tour this summer. I got a lot of tour dates around the country lecturing. I'm going to be, where am I going to be? I might be down here in Atlanta. We're looking for a venue down here.
Okay.
I'm going to be in Nebraska. I'm going to be in Philly, D.C., and Detroit. And I got other movies that we're doing too, so I'm just grinding with it.
Okay. Now, what are the other movies? Are they on something different, or
That's
is it
something
still
different.
Black History?
No, I do all types of movies. We got a horror movie. I got like
Get out of here, man.
I got a horror movie called The Eugenist. You can see that on.
Ooh.
It's deep. We shot it here in Atlanta, by the way. We shot that a couple of years ago. It's on iTunes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. So we do other movies. I have a full-fledged film company.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I can dig it.
Yes, sir.
Tariq, appreciate you coming through here, man. Wish you nothing but the best and much success.
Much respect.
Yours truly, B High, man. It's Hot 107.9. Let's go.